What's going on, guys? I am back. I've got another video here for you. And, you know, in building this computer, I came across some more things that I would do when building a computer that I wanted to share with you guys. Now, in the last video I posted there, it was kind of a long, whole spectrum kind of video on tips, tricks, building a computer, my experiences, this, that, and more. But this one I want to be more focused on simply just my tips that I would do or that I would follow or I would give you guys for building a computer, especially your first one, or maybe your second, third, fourth, fifth, or how many. Maybe there's something here of value. First thing is, I said in a previous video to set a budget and maintain it. And though I still strongly recommend doing that, I would alter that tip now to set a budget parameters, like set some parameters for your budget. Give yourself a little bit of allowance where you can go down or up in your budget. For example, if you want to build, let's just say right now you want to build a $2,000 PC. Okay, so let's go $1,800 to $2,200 for your budget. So that way, say if you go into a computer store, a Memory Express, a Canada Computers in Canada, or a Micro Center, or anything like that, a Best Buy, even shopping online, you can go in there and say, okay, this is my budget parameter. Okay, well, I prefer to spend 1,800 bucks, but I've noticed now that I've got a lot of my parts, I've got still about $400 left I can play with here that I have no issue spending to step up my performance. Where can I increase that? That's why I say create yourself those parameters, because my budget originally was $1,800. It went up to about 2,100 bucks, 2,150 to 2,200 with taxes in there. We'll roughly, it's hard to calculate it as well too, because I did a bundle and some stuff, which now leads me to my second tip. Shop for bundles if you can. If I bought my processor, motherboard, and RAM on its own, it would have cost me about $300 more than it did in the bundle form. So Memory Express, Micro Center, Canada Computers, I don't know if Best Buy does or not, but they offer bundles. Sometimes with processor, RAM, motherboard, sometimes with the whole shebang. You get a cooler, you get a graphics card, a power supply, the works, especially, or except for, I should say, not especially, an SSD. Usually that's not included. Now, if you find a bundle with that included, hey, even better. Now, with doing a bundle, I was able to save money on 3 components and now put that money into my graphics card. Because had I just stuck with that budget and bought a 7700X, CL30, 6000, I think it's megahertz or something's, 32 gigabyte RAM, Kingston Fury Beast. If I would have bought that on its own, if I would have bought the 7700X, that RAM, and the motherboard, I would have had to go with probably a 9060 XT graphics card, which is not a bad graphics card by all means. I'm not saying that's a bad graphics, it's a very good graphics card. But because I bundled it and I'd saved the 300 bucks, now I was able to, instead of going to a $500 or $550 graphics card, now Canadian prices I'm saying in the US it's probably cheaper or different price formatting, or however you would say that. The pricing is going to be different where you are, possibly, compared to where I am. So because of that, having that extra about $300, I was able to now put that into my graphics card, go up to a 9070. Now, not the XT, it's just a 9070 overclock Asus Prime card. Very capable card though. Now I can pull off 1440p quite comfortably and not have any issues with that. 9060 probably could, but dependent on the game. Whereas 9070, I can do 1440p on every game that I've played and want to play. I can nail 1440p and get at least 100 FPS, so I'm laughing. Now, because of that bundle, and I was able to step with the graphics card, I at first didn't make the change, but knew I should have. Of the power supply, I had a 750 watt power supply, which was pushing the limits. I was told, especially ASUS recommends an 850 watt minimum power supply for this graphics card. So I had eventually later on stepped up to a 1,000 watt power supply. You do not need a power supply that big for something like this. You could probably get away with an 850 and be totally fine, but I left myself some headroom of upgrading by going with a 1,000 watt. No, I can step up a graphics card in the future. Plus, things are getting more power intensive nowadays, it seems like, so having that little bit of room, it's gonna save me having to buy another power supply in the future. So just to sum that tip up, buy yourself or set yourself the parameters of a budget. Shop your look for bundles, look for deals. You can find that you're gonna save a lot more money if you shop around as well too. Places like Memory Express, I know they have a price match thing. So if you can show them an authorized retailer selling that part for cheaper than they sell it, they will match the price and then beat it by 10%, which in Canada, well, where I'm living in Canada anyways, that's about the taxes. So it saved me the taxes, but I've got the same part. So it actually cost me less to buy with Memory Express. So something like that can be very, very useful in squeezing out every dollar of that budget that you can to account for certain things. Now, the third tip is find the happy medium between aesthetically pleasing and performance. You can easily spend a lot of money to make your computer look amazing, but if that is your sole focus, you could be lacking in performance in some spots because you went so all out. Could I have went with an AIO? Yes. However, they're $130 for a decent one. Again, Canadian pricing. I was able to get this cooler for $45 with taxes, which is more than capable of cooling my 7700X. I've been told it can cool our 9800X 3D totally, no problems as well too. I also like the fact there's not water running through my system. I don't know. I know they don't necessarily all the time, but it scares me. I was always told as a kid, don't mix water and electricity, it's not good. So I carried that principle to this. Kind of fills out the case nice as well too. It looks pretty good. It hides some of my poor cable management of fans behind it as well. So I saved some money there. Now, going back to that, if you go all performance, you might not have a computer that looks the best, kills it performance-wise, but then you might look at the thing and go, it works great, but I don't really like the look of it. So if you find a happy medium there where you go, okay, this is how I want the computer to look, but this is how I want it to perform. How do I take my budget and make it accomplish both these tasks? So with that, I wanted subtle RGB, which is by doing the halo lights. I wanted mostly black. I didn't really plan on a white motherboard, but in the last video I explained had some issues, so that's what went on there. And as far as the case goes, because I wanted a case that was a smaller-ish form factor, MATX, in a case that my wife is okay with me putting in the living room, but that's another video. I went with the Leanly A3, which is a $100 case in Canada. So I went, okay, factoring in the price of the case, the cost of the fans, the 3 fans on the top here are the high speed, light wing, be quiet fans. Those were about $50, give or take. The back one there was $15 or $20. I don't have the receipts on hand to tell you the exact price, but about, let's just say $20 and $55 for the top fans there. So I'm about $80 for these 4 fans. That comes with an RGB controller though, which I didn't use because again, where do I hide it? I don't know. And then the bottom fans, I got a 3-pack of Thermalright fans off Amazon for $20. More than capable. And with that, I was able to pull off a more than capable computer for gaming, content, general computer tasks, but also one that looked great on the desk. This thing looks awesome. I'm gonna try to move this without totally destroying it. I think it looks pretty damn good. But could I have made it look nicer? Absolutely. But would I have sacrificed for some performance? Potentially. So with that, recapping, set your budget parameters, shop around, shop bundles, save some money there, and then find your happy medium between performance and aesthetics. Now, if you want an all blacked out computer or a no RGB computer, you're gonna have even more money to use for performance, and you can spend a little more on your case and then your whatever else you'd like to put in there, because you didn't have to spend that on aesthetics. next tip is factor in your case when building your computer. If you've determined you wanted let's make it more simple. Determine the size of case you want for your spot it's going to be. Now mine is just my desk is just kind of smaller, so and being in the living room, I knew I wanted to have a case that wasn't massive. So okay, I knew that micro ATX or another small form factor case would be my choice, because I didn't want to go a big tower. Okay, so I figured that in. But when building MATX and stuff, you have to account for the fact that components are going to fit in there a little bit tighter. You're going to have to go to a micro ATX motherboard or an SFX motherboard or something like that. You're going to have to go smaller stuff. With the smaller size of a case like this, that's not all micro ATX cases, but this one in particular, very difficult to cable manage and stuff because there's no room in the back. So that made my building a little more difficult, though it looks nice once it's all filled in there. If I've got to reseat a fan cable in there, especially the ones underneath here, I'm in some trouble because I've got to now remove my graphics card, pull some cabling, hide it out of the way, then get to it, then put it all back in. Whereas if it's a bigger case, I probably could just get my fingers in there to be able to reseat it or move it if I need it, or tuck the cables away. So factoring in a lot of videos I watched, they said the case was kind of they almost treated the case as if it's an afterthought. To me, it's not. I think it should be a main thought, because touching on even the aesthetic part of it, you want a nice case. Okay, so find a nice case, but find something that's not going to hurt yourself in the build process, or that's going to be too massive or too small or this or that. Find the happy medium with a case, and once you found that case, build your parts list based off of the case, because you can put together a parts list and find, oh, none of it's going to fit in here how I wanted because I went with a smaller case or a bigger case. So pick your case, and once you've found the case that you really like, then pick your parts based off of that case. That's how I would do it. You might do it differently, and that's okay. Everybody's allowed to do things how they want, because it's a beautiful thing about building a computer. It's your own baby. You get to treat this how you wish and build it how you wish. And finally, just really, it's a valuable lesson I learned. Have some patience with it, because though it only took me about an hour and a half to build this thing, I've had some issues afterwards that it really pushed me to the brink where I'm like, should I just get rid of this thing and just call it a day? Because I was having a software issue that tech people were telling me they couldn't even figure out. They've never heard of it. The problems or the ways they usually fix an issue like that would never fix this, because they tried it and it didn't work. So it really taught me patience, because man, I felt defeated. I felt beat. But at the end of the day, actually at the end of the week, it took me about a week to figure it out, I was able to resolve the problem and learn from it. And out of it, I've got a fully functional working PC that's got no issues currently. So that's something to keep in mind there. Now, again, there's going to be more content coming. I'm going to be more specific on certain things. As I said in the last video, my posting schedule is probably going to be a little here and there, kind of up and down. Might have more content one week, none the next, 3 the next, after that kind of thing. Might only have 1 a week. I'm going to try to at least deliver at least a couple of videos a month. I work a lot of hours. I work about 140 hours, 130 to 140 hours, sometimes 150 hours every 2 weeks. So I am, to say I'm busy would be an understatement. But going forward, if there's anything you'd like to see me talk about, have any questions, have any tips, tricks for me or other viewers, drop them in the comments below. I'm always happy to have involvement and have people helping each other out. So it should be a fun community to be a part of. And like I said, building a computer is one of the funnest things I've ever done. I've had so much fun with it. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. I've got some more great content coming. And in the meantime, stay safe, have fun, build yourself a computer. All right, we'll see you later. I'm out.